They said arrogance is just cowardice wearing a shiny belt buckle, and if that was true, then the man who stepped off that glossy black stallion wore more cowardice than leather. His name was Alden Crane, a cattle baron with pockets deeper than a mine and pride thicker than saddle hide. He rode into Dustwater Springs with the kind of swagger that made the dust hesitate to settle on his boots. A man raised believing the sun itself announced him. His hat was spotless, his vest stitched with custom silver thread, his boots polished so bright they looked like they'd never met mud or blood. People watched from porches, half impressed, half irritated, because where the West favored grit and scars, this man carried perfume and manners sharp enough to cut glass, but not a lick of respect for anyone he considered beneath him. He tied his stallion like tying a ribbon, then walked toward the saloon doors with the confidence of a man who never learned humility because he never had to. He pushed inside and the piano stumbled off key like it had been shoved, conversations dying the way they do when trouble brushes its boot through the threshold. The barkeep nodded out of habit, but Alden didn't nod back. His eyes scanned the room not to greet, but to judge, and every man felt measured and dismissed in the same breath. "Whiskey," Alden demanded, not asked, voice sharp like a brand on raw hide. The young waiter, barely a man, skinny arms nervous, but willing, walked up with a shaky smile and dust on his sleeves from sweeping out front. "Evenin', sir. House whiskey or house whiskey?" Alden scoffed, tossing 2 coins that nearly hit the boy. "Bring me something that doesn't taste like poverty?" A few men in the saloon exchanged looks, eyebrows raised, patience already fraying. The boy didn't understand insult as much as he felt the sting of it and nodded quickly, turning to fetch the bottle. Alden's voice followed like a whip. "And hurry. A mule moves faster than you." Chairs creaked. One man bit his lip like it might stop his temper from spilling. Another spat on the floor, a punctuation of disgust. The boy returned with a bottle imported from back east, nervous pride flickering in his eyes. He poured with both hands, careful not to spill a drop. Alden lifted the glass, sniffed it dramatically, then threw the whiskey back in one swallow. Silence held the room like a noose. Alden wiped his mouth, face twisting. "I've tasted horse sweat better." The boy froze. Pain flashed in his eyes, embarrassment bright and raw. "Sir, I didn't distill it. Just pour what we have. Then next time pour with skill." Alden snapped, voice booming, not trembling hands like a scared church mouse. The boy blinked hard. Shame burned him. A heavy silence weighted down the whole damn room. Someone set their chair down soft, the kind of sound a man makes when he's deciding if it's worth dying for respect, and in the darkest corner of the saloon, where the lamplight struggled to reach, a boot shifted. Slowly, like the world turning just 1 degree closer to hell. A pair of eyes lifted cold and slow burning, the color of winter steel. A name moved through the room like wind before a storm, Maddox Black, the most hunted outlaw west of the Mississippi. Knife-jawed, scar-tempered, a man who'd buried more reputations than bullets. He had been quiet, drinking his whiskey in peace, but humiliation, arrogance, cheap cruelty, those cut deeper than knives around men like him. Maddox leaned forward, hat brim lifting, revealing a face carved out of battle and long nights staring death in the teeth. He set his empty glass down with a thud that made the boy flinch. "Son," Maddox said, voice low enough to crawl into bones, "fetch the gentleman another glass. Make it your best." The boy nodded fast, grateful for the lifeline. Alden didn't notice the change in the air, the shift in mood, the way danger started circling like a hungry vulture. He only smirked and adjusted his cufflinks. Maddox rose slowly, each motion deliberate, like a preacher preparing a eulogy. Spurs whispered along the wood floor. The room shrank around him, glances darting between him and the arrogant stranger. Maddox's voice dropped even lower, turning deadly soft. "Where I come from," he said, stepping forward, "a man measures himself by how he treats those without a gun in their hand." Alden turned, expression annoyed. "And where I come from," he replied, dripping money and disdain, "men like you fetch my horse." A breath caught in the room. Someone whispered a prayer. Someone else reached for a bottle, not to drink, but for the weight of it. Maddox's jaw twitched once. No anger, just certainty. Boy, Maddox said, eyes still on Alden, you can set that glass down. The boy stopped mid-pour, trembling. In that moment the saloon understood. Hell had been invited in, and it accepted. Asterisk, Alden scoffed again, brushing imaginary dust from his sleeve, as if brushing Maddox black from existence. I don't converse with hired guns or outlaws, he said loudly, so the whole room heard and feared his voice more than his sense. Maddox didn't blink. You don't know who you're talking to, do you? He murmured, not asking, stating a prophecy. Alden lifted his head with spoiled pride. I don't care who you are. The room winced. A few men turned away like witnesses hiding from lightning. You will, Maddox answered, stepping closer, boots thumping like slow war drums. Before you leave this floor, you will. Alden tried to laugh, but it came out thin, brittle. I run 1,000 men. Own more land than God himself. I don't answer to brutes. Maddox stopped inches from him. Alden could smell gun oil, leather, dust, and danger older than the bar itself. Maddox's voice turned cold as creek water in winter. You talk like a man who's never been struck in the mouth. Murmurs spread. Someone at the bar muttered, Lord help him. Alden's hand twitched near his coat pocket habit of rich men who believed money could pull them from graves. Maddox noticed. Money won't save you, he said quietly. Never saved a coward yet. Alden bristled. Call me coward again and, what? Maddox cut in. You throw your coat at me? Ask your horse to defend you? A harsh laugh cracked the silence. It wasn't Maddox's. It came from a miner missing 3 teeth and fear left in San Anton. Alden flushed deep red. Pride became panic hidden under silk thread. Maddox leaned in, voice meant only for Alden, but the whole room heard truth settle like dust. I've met your kind, he murmured. Silver-spoon gunslingers thinking wealth is armor. Thinking men like me exist to remind you you're important. Maddox's eyes turned storm-dark. But gold don't buy respect. And disrespect? That buys graves. The boy stepped back carefully, giving space as if space could save Alden. Maddox continued, calm as a judge passing final sentence. That kid earns his keep. Sweeps floors, lifts barrels, works for coins that mean food, not arrogance. You spit on effort. That's poison. Alden sneered, pushing back with a trembling bravado. I didn't ride here to be lectured by dirt-born peasants. He didn't finish. Maddox moved faster than stories travel. One sharp shove open hand, not a punch drove Alden back against the bar, so hard glasses rattled like bones in a gambler's cup. Maddox didn't draw his gun. He didn't need to. Last chance, Maddox said, voice turning to steel. Apologize to the boy. Alden spit the word like venom. Never? The room inhaled sharply collective breath held hostage. Maddox's silence was deadly. He stepped back 1 pace, not retreat, invitation. Then you're done here. Alden straightened, adrenaline shaking through him like spooked horses. He reached under his coat, not for a weapon, but for pride sharpened into stupidity. Hand closed on pistol grip. Wrong move. Maddox didn't draw first. He didn't have to. The sound of his gun leaving leather was slower than truth, faster than hope. He aimed low knee, not heart. Shot fired. Thunder cracked inside the saloon. Alden screamed, leg buckling, pride bleeding on the floor. His pistol clattered harmlessly. Silence followed like Judgment Day hung in the heat. Maddox holstered as smoothly as a man setting down scripture. I didn't kill you, he said. I humbled you. The boy watched, chest tight, heart pounding. Maddox turned to him. You good? He asked. The boy nodded fast, eyes wide. Maddox tossed a coin to him, not charity, respect bought by dignity. For staying steady. Alden groaned, trying to stand, face red, sweat pooling. Maddox looked down at him. Now you apologize. Alden's pride fought, bruised and bleeding. But fear dragged the words from him. "Sorry," he forced. The boy accepted silently. Maddox nodded once. Justice in its roughest leather. Maddox turned toward the door, but another bootstep sounded. Then 3 more. Shadows stretched across the threshold. More men, guns worn low. Faces carved by outlaw living. Maddox's past entering the room like a storm front. A man with a viper's grin spoke. "Maddox Black," he drawled. "Never thought we'd get to thank you for gathering the sheep for slaughter." Maddox didn't turn fully. Didn't fear. Only frowned slightly, annoyed at interruption. "Reckon this ain't your business," he said. The man chuckled. "We'll make it ours." Alden lay trembling on the floor. The boy stood pale, breath caught. Patrons reached quietly for cover, and Maddox Black, calm as fate sharpening a knife, set his boots apart and rested his hand on his gun. "Fine," he said, voice empty as a grave yet to be filled. "Let's finish what fools start." The saloon felt like the world had stopped breathing, air thick enough to choke. Maddox didn't flinch when the outlaws entered fully, boots thumping like judgment walking on wooden floors. There were 4 of them, each meaner than hunger, each armed heavy, each wearing guns like promises. The leader Reeves Kane, hunter of men, body count longer than prayer lists, grinned sharp enough to bleed confidence. "Black," Kane murmured, "you've been painting the West red too long. Time someone scraped you off it." Maddox's jaw tightened once. "Reeves." No hatred. Just recognition, the way wolves acknowledge the teeth of other wolves. Reeves motioned with his chin toward Alden, bleeding and crushed. "Heard you shot a rich rooster today. Shame. Could have ransomed him." Maddox's reply cut like a saw. "He ain't worth feedin' vultures." Kane chuckled darkly. "Still got that righteous streak? Thought the world beat that out of you." Maddox's stare hardened. World tried, failed. The boy behind the bar whispered, "Please stop," but his voice drowned in the rising hum of fear. Women hid behind tables, men braced under beams, the clock ticked slow like death walking stairs. Kane's fingers danced over his holster. "This saloon ain't big enough for reputations this heavy," he said. "Step outside." Maddox nodded once. "I was leaving anyway." He stepped toward the doors, spurs soft but final. Kane and his men followed. But before crossing the threshold, Maddox paused and spoke without turning. "Everyone stay inside. Don't move. Don't die for curiosity." The room obeyed like churchgoers before thunder. Outside, dust swirled in the late sun, orange and rust-red like the sky expected blood. Maddox stood centered in the street, Reeves opposite, his 3 dogs fanning left and right. Town shutters closed like eyes afraid to see a body fall. Alden crawled to the doorway, clutching his knee, watching through tears. "Kill him," he spat, snot-thick rage masking humiliation. Kane smirked. "Already planned to." Maddox spoke softly, a final sermon to the dirt that had known boots and blood since time unbuttoned itself. "This town's got working men, families, strugglers. Leave them untouched." Kane's grin widened. "You got no say left in this world, Black." Maddox's answer came like iron cooling in water. "I got 1 shot left in me that disagrees." A wind kicked dust between them. 1 heartbeat, 2. Guns rose not fast, not flashy, precise, like death clockwork. Kane's men moved first. Always the mistake. Maddox fired once 1 bullet splitting the air, punching the first outlaw's throat before his finger finished tightening. The second Drew Maddox pivoted, second shot hitting center chest, clean as splitting firewood. The third rushed too soon, trigger shaking Maddox's third shot shattered his wrist. Gun flying like a bird with broken wings. Reeves stood alone now, fury replacing calculation. "You think you outrun the end?" He roared. Maddox exhaled steady. "I don't run." Kane fired, wild in rage. Maddox stepped aside like stepping around a drunk in church, bullet grazing coat. Maddox's return shot struck Reeves' gun hand, sending steel spinning. Reeves dropped to his knees, snarling like a wounded wolf. Maddox approached slow. Death in no hurry when justice walks beside it. Reeves spat blood. Finish it. Maddox shook his head. Men like you don't deserve a quick end. Reeves lunged with a knife, desperate, stupid, but Maddox caught his wrist, twisted, dropped him face first into dirt. The town watched through cracks and shutters, breath tied to the dust in the wind. Maddox spoke low, voice like a tuned ceiling. I don't kill for pride. I kill for peace. Reeves choked, defeated. Maddox released him. Leave. Tell every snake you meet the boy in that saloon has more spine than any of you. Reeves stumbled away, humiliated more deeply than bullets could carve. Maddox holstered, shoulders heavy with the weight only men who survive too long carry. The town exhaled as one. Doors open. Life seeped slowly back. The boy ran out first. Mister. Thank you. Maddox cut him off gentle. Don't thank me. Learn from it. Stand straight. Earn respect. Never spit on hands that work. Alden crawled out next. Anger burned hollow. You think you won? Maddox stared at him like staring into a grave that hadn't realized it was open. I didn't come to win. I came to keep men like you from poisoning soil that hard-working souls stand on. Alden swallowed pride like broken glass. Maddox turned to his horse, mounting slow, bones tired but spirit unbroken. Next town, he muttered. Next fool. Next fight that ain't mine, but finds me anyway. The boy called out, hopeful. Will we see you again? Maddox tipped his hat once. If trouble comes, call in, maybe. He rode into the setting sun. Silhouette swallowed by dust and gold horizon. A man burdened by purpose and haunted by necessity. The kind of man legends try to imitate, and history never forgets. Behind him, the saloon exhaled. The boy wiped a glass with steadier hands. And Alden Crane, once proud, now humbled, learned the first real lesson of his life. In the West, wealth can't buy respect. Only courage can. The wind carried Maddox's name into distance, whispering it across dying light like scripture. Some men aren't feared for taking life, they're feared because they choose when not to. In the Old West, there were two kinds of men, those who tried to buy respect with money, and those who earned it with honor, grit, and blood. Today, you'll hear the story of a rich rancher who learned the difference the hard way when he disrespected the wrong man. Out here, fortune means nothing. Courage means everything.